What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and how are you doing? I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry, and you know what I really want? Buffalo wings. I want buffalo wings so bad. I went to the store and I bought some. So, buffalo wings will be in my future. Broccoli Fox says egg. Horror Girl says, you won't believe what I got in mail today. What did you get? I'm so curious. Raining Turtle says, I sprained my ankle, no! But had honey garlic chicken in the crock pot. Okay, so at least you ate well. I'm sorry to hear about your ankle. Sailor Shipper says, hello, you guys feeling better? Yes, I'm all better. I worked out today, felt really good. I had such a terrible sleep last night, though, so I'm a little bit tired. I actually, just woke up from a nap. Stitch is still a little bit sick, though, so hopefully she'll be all better by tomorrow. Leo says, I'm craving dry ribs, fries, and gravy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Show me where the wings on those buffalo. Tina says, I got the wig to complete my Halloween costume for work. Dipper Pines from Gravity Falls. Oh, nice! Hey, getting the wig, that's great. Miss Rosie says, trying to do a Halloween event before streaming and keep dying. Oh, no! I hope you can figure it out. My power went out this morning, which was weird, and because I got up, and I didn't know that it was off, and I went into the bathroom and I turned the lights on, and the lights didn't come on first, but I also stood up too fast, so I blacked out for a moment, and then when I woke, I kind of was like, ugh, and the lights weren't on in the bathroom, and I was like, what the hell? And then I tried to turn on my hair straightener, and it didn't work, and I was like, ugh! So yeah, that was weird, for 3 hours this morning. Vico in the kitchen says, I went to the zoo today and started reading Thrice Married to a Salted Fish. In your message, I read that as you went to the zoo and you started reading to a fish. Oh, hello, Mimi. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, I love you. Everybody's asking about you.
Oh, I'm at the snotty stage, which means I'm almost better.
Snotty girl.
But I'm going through it. I'm almost better. Okay. Have fun.
I love you. Making Stitch work when she's sickly. She asked me if I wanted a tea, and I said yes. Hey, Kate! How are you doing? Emma says, my day was good. I went on the annual walk around the lake with my grandma and our 1-year-old puppy. Oh! Started painting one of my pumpkins and ordered the new Scum Villain book. Also ordered you one. Stop! You did not! Emma! Oh my god! That's so exciting. Oh my god. I literally, on my to-do list today, I wrote, make a video about the new Scum Villain stuff. But instead, I went and bought buffalo wings. What kind of tea? I've been drinking green tea like a madman. Like an absolute madman. Vico into kitchen said, I read to a tortoise. This tortoise? This tortoise? He's got a little collar now. He has been domesticated. I'm too tall to be awake, says Brock. Kate says, I found a tea on my desk that I didn't drink a few hours ago, which saves me from having to get up and make tea. Hey, yeah, it has become cold tea. I forgot to drink my tea yesterday, too. Aren't microwaves just a beautiful thing? Also, look at this. Look at this naked baby. Jung Jung in the bath, holding on to a lotus root. He's so blushy to be caught in such a predicament. Jung Chung tea. Jung Chung flavored bathwater. Oh my god. There's a market for that. There is a market for that, isn't there? Howdy ho! Says Night Owl Workshop. Hello, hello! Brock says, microwaves are indeed quite radiant. Caitlin says, the power went out at my place too. Oh my god. When it went out, I started copper coins. Oh, nice. Stitch is reading Legend of Exorcism right now. And we are going to film the video on copper coins soon when she's all better. Esper Lady says, I've been working on my Sway Buchu cosplay and also playing a lot of Pokemon. Nice! Awesome! That's fun. Have you caught any special ones yet? Kate says, that ain't a lotus root. Okay, well, Jung Chung's dick looks real weird. I think he's definitely got something wrong with him. I have not listened to the Moshong audio drama yet, and also I haven't listened to the Case File audio drama yet. I did admire Kate's Case File feet art, though. Gee says, did you guess all the cakes correct? Dude, I am so fucking good at that game. I did, I was awake for one game and I got them all correct. Rod Wolf 42 says, finally figured out how to get the chat to work with my incredibly finicky devices. Nice! Happy to see you in the chat. Kate says, maybe it's Hush Schwanz. He can be a fish man sometimes. Oh dear. Oh dear. He can't catch a break, can he? Horror Girl got TGCF mechanical pencils. Oh, nice! That's awesome. I love mechanical pencils. Night Owl says, I've been sleeping the last 2 days and I feel human, but I wouldn't mind having bedtime Modazushi stories before sleep. Yay! Well, I am here. I am here to give that. LP09ish says, have you seen Omniscient Reader's Viewpoints webtoon? I haven't, but Stitch just finished it, so he's completely caught up to date, even with the newest update. And she really, really, really likes it. She wants to read the novels now. She's read the first novel, but yeah. Also, the new Summer Hikaru Died manga comes out next week, I think. Yeah, it comes out on the 28th. Ow, that's fucking hot. Yikes. Cat's Cow says, I'm so sleepy tonight. We're all sleepy. Oh god, we gotta wake up. We gotta wake up. Duh. We gotta wake up. Yep. I had so many nightmares last night. It was fucking crazy. But Stitch saved me with a hockey stick. Stitch and I were literally napping right before this, and the doorbell rang and scared the fucking shit out of me. Oh, it was like, duh! It was awful. Awful feeling. Esper Lady also had a nightmare! Did Stitch also come and save you in yours with a hockey stick? Night Owl says, that was the darkest part of the game, I will say. That part, I didn't actually have a nightmare about that part specifically. It was just, you know what I did? I looked up scenes from the movie, and the movie really freaked me out when I was younger, and so I think I was just thinking about, like, gory stuff, and was just like, I was just freaked out. Doorbell ringing during a nap is the worst way to wake up. Yep. But luckily we have, like, security cameras everywhere, so I can just check them and be like, who is it? It's the damn scammers again. Bellowin says, do you and Stitch have any more cons planned this year? There's just, like, little single-day events in Vancouver that we go to. And so we'll be going to a few of those, but nothing big, unfortunately. CSC, oh my god! I forgot I did that last night. Last night we did the Silent Hill stream, and it was very, very scary and terribly sad. So the chat was very kind to make Jung Chung dance to take our minds off of it, and so I made him huge. CSCL says, recap! Junior's rescued from the cave. Wei Wuxian confronted by mob wanting justice. That was scary. Flashback. Wei Wuxian shows off his archery. Sorry. And tosses a flower at Lamwaji. Blindfolded, someone steals Wei Wuxian's first kiss. Someone. Lamwaji punches a tree. And then they talk about their first kisses. Yes. Brock says, by the way, there's going to be a daylight saving in Norway on Sunday, so that might change the stream time for all the Euros. Ooh, okay, now you're the one with the daylight savings, huh? I see how it is. I see how it is. Yeah, always look up the time zone for Vancouver if you're worried. Meridia says, I dreamed about Wang Xian last night and remember Wei Wuxian said something very sassy to the sect leaders. I woke up thinking, how the hell did my unconscious brain come up with that? But I can't remember it. Oh no! Oh no! It was so I know it was so clever. Leo says, my girlfriend started reading Legend of Exorcism a few days ago and she's loving it. We are going to cosplay the characters together for a con in March. Oh, that's so fun! Oh my god! Which one are you gonna be? Canada's is November 2nd. Okay. Is it? Okay, that's interesting. It's like 2 weeks. 2 weeks different from Brock's. Night Owl says, I'm excited to be able to read fan fiction again. I've been going through them as quickly as I can, jumping between Scum Villain and Motozushi. Nice! I wrote some fanfic last night. I did. I wrote 2,000 words of some fanfic. Cat's Cow says, I'm so excited my copy of Peerless 5 came in today. It was nice to see after work. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. Kate says, send it to me. I just might. I just might. Scorpius says, I'm on book 3 of Arha. I just reached the stair scene. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Good luck. Good luck. Cat's Cow says, I desperately need to finish my scary TGCF fic. Ooh, ooh. You know what? I feel like Shalian would get stuck in Silent Hill, wouldn't he? Brock says, it's my personal daylight savings, and I'm making it everyone's problem. Evil teehee. Sugarkiss says, working on today's MXTX Tober prompt, which is ending, making it Moshong. Oh, very nice, very nice. I think I finished my Javik picture for my friend. Let me see if I can show you it. This is it. Yay! Javik! With Victor's sickly little cheekbones. Silent Hill is the suburbs of Ghost City. Oh, Cat's Cat says my fic is about Janlan's death in TGCF. Ooh, that's scary. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, when you feel that inspiration to write strike you, you gotta harness it. You gotta go for it when you can. El Reist Sam says, I have to finish TGCF. I know the lore, but I'm so scared to get to the angst part. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. It doesn't last too terribly long. And then it is so romantic. It's so worth it. Tim Minaria said, then you had Fulgur stream snipe you, which is hilarious. Yeah, I know. He came into the stream. It was crazy. Esper Lady says, I'm working on a Chen Qing fix-it where Zheng Cheng goes back in time to the Sunshot campaign and saves Wen Qing. Yay! Oh, that would be so good. I love that. I love that. Oh my god, that's so hot. That tea is so freaking hot. Oh my goodness. Okay. I am gonna be right back, but fill the chat with your headcanons or with things about fics you've read. I want to see the chat full of Danmei things, and I'll be right back. returned. Okay. Brock says, I don't know, but how unionized we can be extra effective, and Kictor has to give us vacation. Tell me your demands. Okay, let's see what you guys did. Meridia says, anyone considered a Modazushi original Star Trek AU? Wangshin dynamic is so spurk-coded. Oh my god, that would work. That would work so well. Hopefully no spiders decide to show up again, right? Working on a Wangshin DWTS. What is DWTS? What is that? How come I do not... What is that? Bold of her to assume the chat's gonna be filled with anything but crabs and balls. That's Lady says, I saw a post today where Suebuchu found out about the silencing spell from Ni Huaisong and took Feng Xiao to the sea cloud recesses under the pretense of the cool musical techniques. That's funny. All just to shut him up. But Lanjuren silences Feng Xiao almost immediately, and then Suebuchu lovingly teases him about it. That's super cute. I love that. I love that. The Land Clan rules are so Vulcan-like, my brain won't move on from it. Yes! Cat's Cow says, if anyone wants a light function Gen Land angst, check out my fic, A Gladius Fades. Ooh, okay. Orion's Belt says, I have so many fic ideas, it's hard to pick one to work on. They're all like little babies who need to be born. I getcha. Cat's Cows, yes, be inspired to finish it. Yes, you can do it. Brock says, I feel like the chat should unionize. Necroneko Me says, I have to finish the next chapter of a fic of mine in order to start the next chapter of my Wangshin Stardew Valley AU. And then the Xena Min is coming out on the 3rd of August. Ooh, that's cool. Hey, there is a new Beef Leaf zine thing coming out soon. They're looking for people to join it. Oh my god, what's it called? It is called... Yi actually sent it to me. Drowned Souls. They're doing an interest check on Twitter. It's Bee Honey says, it's just popping in. Won't be able to make it to the stream until after Halloween because I'll be in India for a wedding. Have fun. Oh my god, have so much fun at your wedding. Orion's Belt says, I have a couple fics for the Liu Chung zine that's coming out on Jung Chung's birthday, and then a couple others I'm working on for other fan events. Very excited. That's awesome! Oh my god, lots of writing. That's great. Is anybody gonna do, like a NaNoWriMo thing in November, even if it's not, like, officially with that, but just to do a writing challenge in November? It's coming up quick. There's still time to write your Halloween fics, though. Kate says, I want to do a Beef Leaf zine. Dude, you should sign up for it. You should sign up for it. Sugar Kiss says, yesterday's prompt was sword, and now you're holding Bishan. Yeah! Yeah! Sienna says, hey guys, guess what? I booked the wedding venue. Yeah! And you're set for next September. Oh my god, congrats, dude. That's so exciting. That is awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you guys. That is fantastic. DKW Morgan has been a member for 35 months. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And says, excited to finally make a live Modazushi stream. Yeah, me too. I'm excited to read. That is awesome. Thank you so much for supporting me for so long. That is absolutely incredible of you. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. DKW Morgan. Broccoli Fox says, what Wei Wuxian plushie did you pull that sword out of? Oh, how could you? How could you? I have all my Modazushi plushies in a bag right next to me over there because I'm going to decorate with them. Meridia says, I'm on the Twitter page right now. I've never wrote Beef Leaf, but I have so many plot bunnies in my head. Dude, you could do it. Do it for good cause. All right. Shall we jump in and do a little bit of reading? I don't remember what happens next. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure like there's like some Yanli stuff with her and Jin Sijuan's mom, right? Something like that. It's like they get their shippy moment now, I think. Cat's Cow says, "I'm cozy and ready for story time." Me too. There's a fight with the boys over Yanli. Ah, as they should. Nods. All right. Yanli yells at the boy. As she should. As she should, truly. All right. So, yeah. Lan Wangji was all horny and had to punch a tree about it. And then Wei Wuxian was like, "You haven't kissed anyone, have you? I knew it. I was just asking. No need to be so angry." "How would you know?" "Well, it's pretty obvious," Wei Wuxian explained. "You're always stiff as a board. Who dare kiss you? And of course, I don't expect you to ever take the initiative to kiss anyone. I bet you'll be hanging on to your first kiss for the rest of your life. Ha 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 ha." Oh, brother. He seemed very pleased with himself. Lan Wangji remained expressionless, but his face seemed to relax a bit. He spoke only after Wei Wuxian was done laughing. "What about you?" "Me?" Wei Wuxian arched an eyebrow. "Do you even need to ask? Of course I'm experienced." Lan Wangji's expression, which had only just eased, was now once again covered by a bitter blanket of frost and snow. But that was a lie! That was a lie! Wei Wuxian suddenly fell quiet. "Shh!" He listened for a moment with rapt attention, then dragged Lan Wangji behind some shrubbery. Lan Wangji, not knowing what this was about, was going to ask when he noticed Wei Wuxian fixedly staring at something. Following his line of sight, he saw two figures, one white and one purple, one in front and one behind. They walked slowly, emerging from beneath the blue skies. The one in front was tall in build and handsome in appearance, but imperious in bearing. Cinnabar was dotted between his brows. His white robes were lined with flowing golden hems, and his fine accessories gleamed bright. What was particularly notable was his stride. He paraded about with his head held high. His expression and demeanor were both steeped in arrogance. It was none other than Jin Sichuan. The one following behind him, however, was petite. Her steps were small and hurried, and she held her head low in stark contrast to Jin Sichuan's flouncing. It was Zheng Yanli. "I just knew Madame Jin was going to get Shi Jie and the golden peacock to take an unaccompanied stroll together," Wei Wuxian thought. Next to him, Lan Wangji noticed his scornful expression and added in a whisper, "What quarrel do you have with Jin Sichuan?" Wei Wuxian humphed. Why did he hate Jin Sichuan so much? This conflict of theirs had a long history. Ever since they were maidens, Madame Yu and Jin Sichuan's mother, Madame Jin, had been exceedingly close friends. They had sworn an oath to each other long ago. If their future children were both sons, then the boys were to become sworn brothers. If the children were girls, then they should be sworn sisters. And if they were one boy and one girl, then they would be husband and wife. Well, right there, that just goes to show that, like, sworn brothers is just as gay as being husband and wife. The two clan mistresses shared an intimate friendship. Maybe Madame Yu's such a bitch all the time because she's a lesbian. They knew each other inside and out. Okay. And were well matched in social standing. The marriage should have been more than perfect. Everyone called it a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, the pair in question didn't agree. The world had revolved around Jin Sichuan ever since he was young. He was born fair and tender of skin, and the cinnabar dotted between his brows was like cherry atop his prestigious background and his naturally keen intellect. He was loved by practically all who met him, and his pride knew no bounds. Madame Jin had brought him to visit Lotus Pier a few times. Neither Wei Wuxian nor Zheng Cheng liked playing with him, but Zheng Yanli was always there, wanting to feed him whatever she'd made that day. However, Jin Sichuan didn't really pay attention to her, which frequently made Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng squawk in ire. The months that Wei Wuxian had spent wreaking havoc in the cloud recesses made the arranged marriage between the Jin and Zheng fall through. After he returned to Lotus Pier, he apologized to Zheng Yanli, but she said nothing in response. She only stroked his head. Oh, Wei Wuxian's head. Yeah. Wei Wuxian apologized. Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng both thought the matter ended there and that the dissolution of the arranged marriage satisfied everyone. They only found out sometime later that Zheng Yanli must have been quite heartbroken. In the middle of the Sunshot campaign, the Zheng clan of Yunmeng's forces traveled to the Langyi region to provide reinforcements for the Jin clan of Lanling. Since they were urgently lacking personnel, Zheng Yanli traveled with them to the battlefield. She was aware her cultivation was weak, so she instead did what she actually excelled at, fixing everyone's meals. Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng objected at first, but she'd always been an expert cook and was happy to do it. She got along well with others and didn't overwork herself, not to mention her duties kept her away from danger. Eventually, the two determined it wasn't a bad plan. Because conditions in the area were tough, the meals were generally fairly wretched. Zheng Yanli worried that her picky little brothers wouldn't eat well, privately made extra soup for Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng every day. Unbeknownst to anyone but Zheng Yanli herself, she would also make a third serving of soup. Oh brother, oh brother. This serving was given to Jin Sizhuan, who was also at Langye at the time. Jin Sizhuan didn't know about it either. Although he greatly enjoyed the soup and was very thankful to whoever was thoughtful enough to give it to him, Zheng Yanli never left her name behind. Furthermore, no one knew that all of this had been witnessed by a low-ranking female cultivator. The female cultivator in question was a servant of the Jin clan of Lanling. Because her cultivation was weak, she had the same duties as Zheng Yanli. She was fairly good-looking and knew an exploitable opportunity when she saw one. After following Zheng Yanli a few times out of curiosity, she quickly guessed what was going on, and, her acting immaculate, seized the chance. After Zheng Yanli delivered the soup, she idled outside Jin Sizhuan's room and purposely allowed him to catch a glimpse of her. Having finally caught the mysterious chef, Jin Sizhuan naturally had the mind to ask questions. The girl very cleverly did not admit to anything, but denied it all with vague words and flushed cheeks. Such a performance made it seem like she had indeed been the one leaving the soup, but didn't want Jin Sizhuan to know of her painstaking efforts. And so, naturally, Jin Sizhuan didn't force her to admit anything. That bitch! However, he began to show that female cultivator favor. He looked after her, even promoting her from servant to guest cultivator. This went on for a long time without Zheng Yanli suspecting anything was amiss, until one day, after dropping off the soup, she ran into Jin Sizhuan as he returned briefly to his room to retrieve a letter. Naturally, Jin Sizhuan had the mind to ask what Zheng Yanli was doing in his room. She didn't dare say at first, but Jin Sizhuan started to sound increasingly suspicious of her. Naturally, this left her no choice but to tell the truth with great trepidation. But someone else had already used the same excuse, so naturally it was easy to imagine Jin Sizhuan's reaction. He exposed Zheng Yanli's lies on the spot. Zheng Yanli had never imagined something like this could happen. She had never been the type to flaunt anything about herself. In fact, barely anyone knew she was the daughter of the Zheng clan of Yunmeng. She could provide no strong evidence on such short notice, and the more she tried to defend herself, the more disheartened she became. In the end, Jin Sizhuan stiffly tossed this comment at her. Don't think you can steal credit for and trample all over the kindness of others just because you come from a prominent clan. A vulgar birth can sometimes breed a character more noble than any of the prominent clans. Please mind your conduct. Oh, God. Man. Zheng Yanli finally understood the implications of Jin Sizhuan's lecture. He had never believed that someone like her, a daughter of a prominent clan, but one with such weak cultivation, could do anything substantial on the battlefield or help with anything at all. Bluntly put, he thought she was just trying to find an excuse to get close to him, that she was only there to add to the chaos. Jin Sizhuan had never known her, never even thought to try and get to know her, so naturally he would never believe her words. Having been rebuked so harshly by him, Zhang Yanli burst into tears on the spot. This happened to be the part of the scene where Wei Wuxian witnessed when he returned. Although his Shijie was good-tempered, other than during their reunion after the destruction of Lotus Pier, during which the three of them huddled together, bawling their eyes out, she rarely shed a single tear in front of anyone, never mind crying so loudly, pitifully, and in front of so many people. This is the only time we get a glimpse of what it was like when they reunited. This one sentence here. The only other time that she cried was when the three of them huddled together, bawling their eyes out. After their reunion and the destruction of Lotus Pier. She should have just been like, why don't we pull that bitch in here and get her to make the soup, huh? Why don't we just ask her? Ask her what's in the soup. Zhang Cheng and Wei Wuxian and Yanli all hugging each other, crying. Ugh. Let's have a little soup off. Utterly panicked, Wei Wuxian asked her what had happened, but Zhang Yanli was crying too hard to speak coherently. And then he saw Jin Sichuan standing there on the side, completely stunned. Of course it had to be that damn asshole again. Wei Wuxian flew into a rage, launched a kick at Jin Sichuan, and then the two began to tussle. It was an earth-shaking fight. All the cultivators in the area swarmed out en masse to try and break the two apart. After piecing together what had happened from all the talk swirling around, Wei Wuxian was even more livid. He demanded that someone drag this female cultivator out for questioning, all while swearing to Jin Sichuan that he would one day die by Wei Wuxian's hand. Whee! When the full truth came out, Jin Sichuan was completely frozen. His face was ashen, and he didn't attempt to rebut a single bit of the verbal abuse that Wei Wuxian continued to sling at him. He didn't even defend himself against Wei Wuxian's fists. If Zhang Yanli hadn't gone forward to catch Wei Wuxian's hand, and if Zhang Cheng and Jin Guanshan hadn't also shown up to drag Wei Wuxian away, Jin Sichuan probably wouldn't be participating in today's Mount Baifeng siege hunt. Though Zhang Yanli remained in Langye to help out, she focused on her own duties and never delivered soup for Jin Sichuan again. Bitch. She no longer even looked him in the eye. The crisis in Langye was resolved not long after, so Wei Wuxian and Zhang Cheng took her back home to Yunmeng. Whether it was because he felt guilty, or because he'd been horribly scolded by Madame Jin Sichuan started asking after Yanli more and more often after the conclusion of the Sunshot campaign. Those who knew about the incident called it a simple misunderstanding. What did it matter now that things had cleared up? But Wei Wuxian vehemently refused to accept this. He hated Jin Sichuan, that presumptuous lord princess, that ostentatious peacock, that boggle-eyed blind man who only cared for outside appearances. He didn't believe for a moment that an arrogant prick like Jin Sichuan would recognize his own mistakes and suddenly start caring about Zhang Yanli. The changes in his behavior were almost certainly only due to Madame Jin's intervention. She must have badgered and rebuked him so hard that he'd finally dragged himself to reluctantly and arduously complete his mission. In the present moment, however, whatever his personal feelings might be, Wei Wuxian had to stay hidden if he didn't want to make things difficult for Zhang Yanli. Lan Wangji turned and regarded him with a confused expression. With no time to explain, Wei Wuxian only placed his fingers against his lips to gesture for silence before continuing to spy on the other two. A pair of light eyes briefly stared at those full, wet, warm lips before moving their gaze elsewhere. How would he know if they were warm? How would Lan Wangji know if his lips were warm, On the other side of the clearing, Jin Sichuan pushed apart some tall grasses to reveal the thick, meaty body of a snake monster. He leaned over to examine it for a moment, then announced his findings. "It's dead." Zhang Yanli nodded. "It's a sizing snake," Jin Sichuan explained. "Pardon?" "A monster from the barbaric lands in the south," Jin Sichuan continued on. When it encounters humans, it'll push itself upright to compare heights. If it's taller than you, it'll swallow you whole. It's not too tough, though. It only looks scary. Zheng Yanli seemed confused as to why he was suddenly giving her such explanations. At times like these, it would have been polite to respond with, Jin Gongsa is very knowledgeable. Jin Gongsa is much composed, or other such polite banalities. But what he had just said was common knowledge, and an extremely shallow observation at that. He seemed to be talking just for the sake of making conversation. Any compliment she paid to him would be obviously fake and insincere. Jing Guanyao was probably the only one who could say such things without qualms. Oh my god. I love the reference to Jiggy there. Jiggy hats in the chat. Jiggy hats in the chat. And so Zheng Yanli could only nod again in response. Wei Wuxian figured she'd be doing that the whole way here. A suffocating blanket of silence descended on the scene after that. The awkwardness was tangible, oozing through the grass to take hold of the two hiding behind it as well. It was a while before Jin Sizhuan finally began to escort Zhang Yanli back the way they came. He was still explaining things as he walked. The skin of a sizing snake is scaled, and its long fangs commonly grow past its chin. That specimen is likely a mutated variety. The average cultivator can't easily handle them, and common folks can't even breach the scaled armor. He paused briefly, then regained his nonchalant tone. But it's really no big deal. There's no prey worthy of note at this year's siege hunt. Well, nothing that can hurt anyone from Lan Ling. That conceited haughtiness surged up again towards the end of his speech. Wei Wuxian was quite irked by the whole thing, but he suddenly noticed that Lan Wangji was staring impassively at Jin Sizhuan. He curiously followed his gaze and was instantly struck speechless. Since when does that guy walk like he's got 2 left feet? It would be best if no one got hurt at all during siege hunts, Zhang Yanli said. What's the value of prey that can't do harm? Jin Sizhuan replied. If you come to the Jin clan of Lanling's private hunting grounds, you can see a lot of rare monsters. Wei Wuxian snorted in silence. Who wants to go to your family's hunting grounds? It seemed Jin Sizhuan had started drafting her itinerary all on his own. It just so happens that I'm free next month, so I can take you. Many thanks for Jin Gongsa's invitation, but there is no need to go to the trouble, Zhang Yanli replied quietly. Jin Sizhuan was taken aback for a moment before blurting out, Why? How did one answer a question like that? Zhang Yanli bowed her head, seeming uneasy. You don't like watching siege hunts? Jin Sizhuan guessed. Zhang Yanli nodded. Jin Sizhuan pressed further. Then why did you come this time? Zhang Yanli certainly wouldn't have come if it hadn't been for Madame Jin's enthusiastic invitation. But how could she provide an answer like that? Seeing her remain silent, Jin Sizhuan's face turned a myriad of colors, from cherry red to ashen pale. Clearly extremely upset, he tried to hold it in for a moment, then forced out a stiff question. Do you not like watching siege hunts, or do you not like being with me? It's not that, Zhang Yanli said in a small voice. Wei Wuxian knew what was going on here. She was afraid that Jin Sizhuan had been unwilling to invite her, and had only done so because Madame Jin demanded it. And so she didn't want to trouble him any further. But how could Jin Sizhuan know all that? He only knew that he'd never felt so embarrassed in his life. Not only was this the first time he'd ever been rejected by a girl, it was also the first time he'd ever extended a girl an invitation like this, and it had been rejected. A burst of hostility rushed up within him, and after a moment he sneered. Fine. I'm sorry, Zhang Yanli apologized. What are you sorry for? Jin Sizhuan said coldly. Think what you will. Either way, it wasn't me who wanted to invite you, so if you don't want to come, then forget about it. Fuck this guy! He's done absolutely everything wrong! Yes, Dar Lady, I thought I saw a ghost just now. Orion, thank you for the donation. No, Sichuan, stop trying to be an alpha male. No. He's so bad. He's so bad. Imagine Jing Guanyao, the master manipulator that he is, like, listening to this conversation, just being like, oh, dear God. The blood shot straight to Wei Wuxian's head. At first he wanted to charge forth and punch Jin Sizhuan again, but then he had a thought. It'll be good for Shijie to see that guy's true colors and cast him aside forever, never pay him another thought again. And so he suppressed his anger and steeled himself to endure it a bit longer. Zheng Yanli's lips quivered, but she said nothing. She bowed to Jin Sizhuan. "Please excuse me," she said quietly. She silently turned to leave on her own and head back to the observation decks. Jin Sizhuan stood there numbly for a moment, his gaze directed away from her. Moments later, he suddenly shouted to her, "Hold it!" Zheng Yanli didn't turn around, however, and Jin Sizhuan only became more furious. With 3 large strides, he caught up to her and moved to catch her hand, but was thwarted by the sudden appearance of a black blur in front of him. Before he could see what it was, he received a blow to his chest. Staggering back, Jin Sizhuan swiftly drew his sword. When his eyes focused, he made an angry noise. "Ah, Wei Wuxian! Why is it you again?" he raged. Wei Wuxian, shielding Zheng Yanli behind him, raged right back. That's my fucking line! Why is it you again?" Attacking for no reason. "Have you lost your mind?" Jin Sizhuan yelled. Wei Wuxian's fist flew out again. "Yeah, and what are you gonna do about it? What do you mean, no reason? What were you trying to do, grabbing my Shijie just because you're embarrassed and mad about it?" Jin Sizhuan dodged and returned his strike with a slash of his sword. "What was I supposed to do if not grab her? Let her roam the mountain by herself?" But Jin Sizhuan's sword glare was knocked askew by another, and the resulting crash sent both veering into the sky. When he saw the wielder, he was dumbstruck. It was Han Guanzhun! Han Guanzhun? Lan Wangji sheathed Bichin and stood between the 3 of them, maintaining his silence. Just as Wei Wuxian was about to move forward, Zheng Yanli grabbed him. "Ashian!" Just then, they heard the thunderous sound of footsteps. An enormous, noisy party of cultivators and their escorts poured into the patch of woods. "What's going on?" the one leading the horde demanded. As it turned out, all the cultivators nearby had been alerted by the sight of Lan Wangji and Jin Sizhuan's sword glares shooting into the sky. A single glance was enough to tell that a fight had broken out. So they'd all rushed over and arrived just in time to witness the strange 4-way confrontation. They said enemies were bound to meet on narrow roads, and sure enough, Jin Sizhuan was the one leading the horde. "Sizhuan, is that guy causing you trouble again?" "It's none of your business. Don't butt in," Jin Sizhuan snapped. Then he saw Wei Wuxian pulling Zheng Yanli to leave and called out again. "Hold it!" "You really want to fight?" Wei Wuxian challenged. "Let's go then." "Wei Wuxian, what are you trying to do by always targeting Sizhuan like this?" Jin Sizhuan demanded. Wei Wuxian glanced at him. "Who are you?" Jin Sizhuan was taken aback, then immediately flew into a rage. "You don't know who I am?" Wei Wuxian was puzzled. "Why should I know who you are?" When the Sunshot campaign first erupted, Jin Sizhuan had been injured, unable to do anything but hang back and defend the rear. Unable to witness Wei Wuxian's performance on the front lines for himself, he only had second-hand rumors to go on. Assuming those rumors to be hugely exaggerated, he didn't have much respect for Wei Wuxian. And earlier today, Wei Wuxian had summoned all the evil lurking on the mountain with a whistle. In doing so, he had called away many of the fierce corpses that Jin Sizhuan's group were on the verge of capturing. With all their efforts reduced to naught, Jin Sizhuan was already upset, and now Wei Wuxian was asking who he was. An inexplicable indignation rose within him. He recognized Wei Wuxian, but Wei Wuxian dared to not know him. Worse, he dared to ask who he was in front of the giant crowd. He felt as though he'd greatly lost face, and the more he thought about it, the more incensed he grew. But just as he was about to reply, streaks of gold flashed across the sky. A second wave of people had arrived. This group descended on their swords and landed steadily. The one leading them was an older woman, a classic beauty who carried a sort of indomitability in the contours of her jaw. She rode her sword with gallantry and grace, and her slow steps were poised and stately. "Bomu!" Jin Sizhuan greeted. Jin Sizhuan was blank for a moment. "Mother, why have you come?" It was then that he realized that both his and Lan Wangji's sword glares had shot into the sky. Of course Madame Jin would come after witnessing that from the observation deck. He glanced at the many Jin clan cultivators who'd come with her. "Why did you bring so many people with you? I don't need you to interfere with the siege hunt." Madame Jin clicked her tongue. Don't flatter yourself. Who said I'm here for you? She saw Zheng Yanli shrinking behind Wei Wuxian. Her expression immediately softened, and she went over to take her hands and gently comfort her. Ali, what a state you're in. I'm fine, madame, thank you, Zheng Yanli replied. Madame Jin was quick on the uptake. Did that damned brat bully you again? She asked. Oh, no, Zheng Yanli quickly denied. Jin Sizhuan jerked. He seemed to want to speak, but he held himself back, as if Madame Jin wasn't aware of what her own son was like. Easily able to guess what had transpired, she immediately flew into a rage and loudly rebuked her son. Jin Sizhuan, do you have a death wish? What was it that you told me before you came out here? Jin Sizhuan tried, but Wei Wuxian cut in. Who cares what your son told you, ma'am? From now on, he and my Shijie should go their separate ways. In his anger, he wasn't very polite with his words. Thankfully, Madame Jin didn't care, preoccupied by comforting Zheng Yanli. But even though the woman herself wasn't bothered, someone else used this as an opportunity to start trouble. Wei Wuxian, my aunt is your senior, Jin Sizhuan barked. Aren't you being impertinent? The onlookers found him to be in the right here and voiced their agreement. I wasn't targeting Madame Jin, Wei Wuxian said. Time and again, your cousin has addressed my Shijie with callous, malicious words. If the Zheng clan of Yunmeng were to tolerate this, it would bring disgrace on our name. How am I impertinent? Jin Sizhuan sneered. How are you impertinent? How are you not impertinent? During today's siege hunt, on a grand occasion such as this, haven't you been stealing the stage at every opportunity? I bet you're terribly pleased with yourself, stealing a third of the prey. Lan Wangji cocked his head. A third of the prey? The hundreds of cultivators that had come with Jin Sizhuan were all heavy with resentment. When they saw Lan Wangji, who was rumored to be on very poor terms with Wei Wuxian, speak inquiringly, someone immediately leapt to respond. Hang Guanjun, you're probably not aware of this, but as we hunted earlier, we made a shocking discovery. There was no longer a single fierce corpse or vengeful spirit to be found anywhere in all of the hunting grounds. We only learned the truth after sending someone to inquire with Lan Fanzun on the observation deck. Not an hour after the hunt began, there was the sound of a flute, and then almost every fierce corpse and vengeful spirit went to the Zheng clan of Yunmeng's camp on their own to fling themselves into their traps. Of the three major classes of prey on Mount Baifeng, only Yao and monsters remain. As for ghosts, Wei Wuxian summoned them all away. You care for no one but yourself, Jin Sizhuan spat. How is this not impertinent? Wei Wuxian finally understood. When it came right down to it, Jin Sizhuan was only using the incident with Zheng Yanli as an excuse to go off. Weren't you the one who said that? Weren't you the one that said it? He laughed sardonically, that the opening shot didn't matter and we'd see what I was really made of in the field. Jin Sizhuan gave a derisive snort of laughter, seeming to find this hilarious. You're completely dependent on the demonic arts. Tooting your flute a few times can hardly be considered skill. Is that what you're made of? I didn't employ any underhanded tricks, so why doesn't it count? Wei Wuxian asked in wonder. You can try playing your flute too, see if any fierce corpses will listen to you. A complete disregard for the rules is no better than underhanded tricks. Lan Wangji wrinkled his brows at this comment. Madame Jin finally seemed to have noticed the ongoing argument and admonished him. Kate says Yan Wuxi would love Wei Wuxian. Flute tooting, yeah, he tooted his flute. Sizhuan, that's enough, she said indifferently. Wei Wuxian couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He simply smiled. Fine then, since it seems I don't know what real skill is, why don't you whip out your sword and beat me down with it? Let me learn something new. If he could actually have done that, Jin Sizhuan wouldn't be this frustrated. He was struck speechless for a moment, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Well, it's no wonder you don't think you're in the wrong, he mocked. It's not the first time Wei Gongse has disregarded the rules. First the flower viewing banquet, and now the siege hunt. You haven't worn your sword at either event. Both were grand occasions, but you don't care for the slightest bit of etiquette. And so, how do you regard us, the ones who attend these events with you? Wei Wuxian ignored him entirely, and instead turned to Lan Wangji. Lan Zhan, I forgot to tell you. Thanks for blocking that strike for me a few minutes ago. Seeing Wei Wuxian's utter disregard, Jin Sijin clenched his teeth. This is all the Zheng clan of Yunmeng's upbringing amounts to, huh? Madame Jin's expression hardened. Sijin, she rebuked. When she heard this particular insult, Wei Wuxian's smile suddenly vanished. Upbringing? He echoed. He slowly looked back. Demonic arts? Lan Wangji called to him in a quiet voice. Wei Ying. Jin Sijin and company also noticed the unusual atmosphere. They held their breath as they regarded him. Wei Wuxian flashed a smile. If you want to know why I don't carry my sword with me, sure, I'll tell you. He turned around and spoke each word slowly and clearly. It's because I want you all to know this. Even without using a sword, even just using the demonic ways you speak of, I'll leave you all in the dust, far, far behind me. Hoo-hoo-hoo. His declaration stunned everyone present. Very few clan juniors would dare say something so utterly arrogant and so publicly. It took a moment for Jin Sijin to regain his senses. Wei Wuxian, he shouted. You're nothing but the son of a servant. You're completely outrageous. Hearing this accusation, Lan Wangji's eyes hardened and Wei Wuxian's pupils contracted. His hand reached for Chen Qing. The air was crackling with explosive tension, ready to blow at a moment's notice. But someone suddenly called out, Ashian! At the sound of that voice, Wei Wuxian's agitation evaporated. He turned his head. Shijie? Zheng Yanli waved, beckoning him. Ashian, come here. Come stand behind me. Wei Wuxian was taken aback. Before he could move, Madame Jin quickly tugged on Zheng Yanli's hand. Ali, don't involve yourself in their business. However, Zheng Yanli only gave Madame Jin an apologetic smile before she walked over to stand in front of Wei Wuxian. She is the fucking best. She bowed to Jin Sijin and his company. Neither Jin Sijin nor his group knew how to respond. There were a scattered few who returned the courtesy, and some who didn't. In a voice both soft and delicate, Zheng Yanli then began to speak. Jin Gongzi, your words seem to indicate that you find Ashian overly impertinent for disregarding the rules and claiming over a third of the prey on Mount Baifeng. I have never heard of anyone managing to do such a thing, but I'm sure it has caused everyone trouble. I apologize on his behalf. She then bowed again, true to her word. It seemed to be a grave and solemn apology. Shijie! Wei Wuxian cried. Zheng Yanli didn't straighten up, but just gazed at him and imperceptibly shook her head. Wei Wuxian could only clench his fists tight and not speak another word. Jin Sijun watched this from afar with a complicated expression. In contrast, Jin Sijun and the others didn't hide the pleasure on their faces at all. They were elated at this turn of events. Jin Sijun laughed aloud. Miss Zheng is truly well-mannered and sensible. Your Shidi's actions were certainly greatly inappropriate and certainly caused great trouble. But since you're aware of that, for Miss Zheng and Sect Leader Zheng's sakes, we won't require an apology. The Zheng clan of Yunmeng and the Jin clan of Lanling have always been like brothers, am I right? All the little speech lacked was for him to start cackling at the end. Wei Wuxian's rage was peaking, knuckles cracking from how hard his fists were clenched. Just as he was about to speak, Zheng Yanli straightened from her bow. However, even though I've never participated in a siege hunt, there is one thing I do know, she said seriously. Since ancient times, there has never been a rule that forbids a participant from hunting too much. Boom! Fucking mic drop! Those smug smiles froze before they could fade. So, Zheng Yanli continued, you said Ashian disregarded the rules. Might I ask which rule it was? This time it was Wei Wuxian's turn to laugh out loud. Jin Sijin's face turned dark, but he did not rebuke her. There were two reasons why. One, he had never seen Zheng Yanli speak out before, so he couldn't determine how much would be too much. Both Madame Jin and Zheng Cheng regarded Zheng Yanli extremely highly, so he didn't dare cause offense. And two, if they really did officially pursue the matter, there really was no such rule. Just then, someone in the crowd couldn't hold back any longer. At times like these, Sect Leader Yao was always the first to nitpick. Well, actually, Miss Zheng, you're wrong to say that. Some rules might not be written, but everyone knows and follows them. How much prey is there to begin with on Mount Baifeng? Someone complained. Around 500 specimens? And how many siege hunt participants? Over 5,000. It's already a fierce competition, and he's stolen so much prey with his underhanded methods. Where does that leave the rest of us? Wei Wuxian sneered. He was about to speak when Zheng Yanli stopped him. Don't say anything, okay? She said under her breath. Another voice of discontent spoke up. Yeah, otherwise I would have actually caught something by now. But it's not his fault that others can't catch anything, Zheng Yanli noted. The man was stumped. Aren't siege hunts meant to be a test of strength? Zheng Yanli continued. Even if there are no more ghosts to be caught, aren't there still Yao and monsters left? Even if he hadn't claimed a third of the prey, in fact, even if he hadn't participated in the siege hunt at all those who lack skill at hunting would have still failed. Ashian used a different method from the rest of you, but it is still a skill he cultivated on his own. You can't write it off as demonic just because he claimed a third of the prey that others were never going to capture to begin with. Boom! Hell yeah! Yanli just said, get good. Those who joined in Jin Sijin's uproar all looked equally upset, but they were mindful of Zheng Yanli's status and didn't dare to rebuke her directly. Besides, siege hunts are siege hunts. Why bring up family upbringings? Zheng Yanli added. Ashian is a disciple of the Zheng clan of Yunmeng. He has grown up with my brother and I. We are as close as real siblings. To so bluntly call him the son of a servant, forgive me, but I cannot accept it. So? She straightened her frail back and raised her voice. I hope Jin Sijin Gongzi will apologize to Wei Wuxian of the Zheng clan of Yunmeng. Bitch! Emperor's Prince, thank you for donating. Yanli epic moment deserves some celebration. Yeah, thank you so much. It does, literally. Yeah, get him, Yanli! Zheng Chung strips off his shirt. He's like, yeah, that's my fucking sister. I love how she twisted that to make him have to apologize to him. If it had been anyone but Zheng Yanli who'd said this, Jin Sijin probably would have hit them by now. His face was dark and he was deeply silent. Zheng Yanli also only stared at him, equally silent. Her gaze did not waver for even a moment. Madame Jin finally spoke up. Ali, what are you being so serious for? It's just a small matter. Don't be mad now, Madame, Ashian is my little brother, Zheng Yanli said quietly. When others insult him, it is no small matter to me. Oh, she's the best! Madame Jin shot Jin Sijin a look and sneered. Sijin, you hear that? Bomu, Jin Sijin protest. Him apologize to Wei Wuxian? Absolutely not. But of course, Madame Jin knew his character. The situation was already an unhappy one, and she grew all the more irritated thinking about the fit Jin Sijin would throw once he apologized and returned to Golden Carp Tower. How she wished she could just press him to the ground by his neck and make him apologize to put an end to all this. Just then, 2 more streaks of sword light flew overhead. Jin Guangyao and Lan Qichen had arrived. Xiao is here, everybody! Xiao is here! What were they doing? What were they doing together? Oh my goodness. Were they kissing? Were they kissing in the forest? Chicky's here! Shangzhang, Lan Wangji greeted. Lan Qichen was surprised. Wangji, why are you here too? Jin Guangyao addressed the crowd. Everyone, what happened here? With his arrival, the fury that suffocated Jin Sijin and Madame Jin suddenly found a target to vent at. The moment Jin Guangyao landed, Madame Jin yelled at him. No! He's just a little guy! How could you yell at him? Look at him! He doesn't even know what's going on! How could you? What are you smiling for? Look at this mess, and you're still smiling. What a siege hunt you've organized. You trash. How could she? Jing Guanyao, who always wore that smile, could never have predicted he'd receive such a tongue-lashing the moment he arrived. He quickly tucked away his smile and humbled himself before her, as was proper. Mother, what happened? He asked. Madame Jin narrowed her eyes. Can't you see for yourself? Aren't you an expert at reading the room? Wow. Jing Guanyao remained silent, and Jin Sijin continued the torrent of abuse. A third of the prey on my Baofeng is gone, so what are the 5,000 people here gonna hunt? He'd seized this chance to muddle past apologizing to Wei Wuxian, but just as he was going to continue his rant, Lan Qichen intervened. Hell yeah! Nobody is gonna be mean to my little guy, okay? He is too little and his dimples are too deep. So stop yelling at him. Lian Fangzhen has already arranged for the enlargement of the hunting grounds. I pray everyone will remain calm. Zhe Wuzhen had spoken. Jin Sijin knew saying anything else would be inappropriate. He could vent his anger on Jing Guanyao no further. He hurled his bow and arrow to the ground and sneered. This siege hunt is a farce! Forget it. It doesn't matter if I participate. I withdraw. Jing Guanyao was taken aback. Shizhen, preparations are almost done. Just wait another hour at most. Sect leader Yao chimed in as well. Jin Gongzi, there's no need for this. There's already no fairness to speak of in this siege hunt, so what use is there in waiting? Jin Sijin said. Sorry, but I'm not going to keep you all company. With that, he moved to mount his sword and leave with the cultivators under his command in tow. Jing Guanyao hurried over to try and persuade him otherwise. Some joined in the uproar, intending to leave with Jin Sijin, while others couldn't make up their minds, not wanting to give up the hunt just yet. It was chaos. Zheng Yanli shook her head and turned to Madame Jin. Sorry for causing you trouble, Madame Jin. Madame Jin waved dismissively. What are you apologizing to your auntie for? If you want to yell at that silly brat Jin Sijin, yell at him to your heart's content. I don't care about him. If yelling won't appease you, I'll help you give him a beating. Jeez. It's okay, Zheng Yanli assured. Then I'll be heading back. Back to the observation deck, right? Madame Jin quickly said, shooting vigorous eye signals at Jin Sizhuan as he continued to stand there in the distance. I'll tell Sizhuan to escort us. There's no need, Zheng Yanli said quietly. I have some things to say to Ashian, so he can escort me back. Yanli is the favorite child and she's not even Madame Jin's kid, right? Lan Qichen, like, don't talk to my wife like that. Madame Jin raised both her eyebrows up high and seized Wei Wuxian. There was wariness in her expression, and she seemed somewhat displeased. The two of you are a young man and woman. How is it appropriate for you to be together all the time, without supervision? Oh my god. Ashian is my little brother, Zheng Yanli stated. Oh, please, don't be angry, Ali, Madame Jin pleaded. Just tell me what stupid thing that foul, stubborn brat of mine has done this time. I'll make him apologize to you properly. Zheng Yanli shook her head. There really is no need, Madame Jin. Don't force him. How am I forcing him? Madame Jin was anxious. He's not reluctant at all. Wei Wuxian nodded. Please excuse us, Madame Jin. He and Zheng Yanli both bowed at the waist and turned to leave, but Madame Jin locked Zheng Yanli's hand in a death grip, refusing to let her go. As they engaged in this tug-of-war, Jin Sizhuan suddenly dashed over. Miss Zheng! Pretending to not hear, Wei Wuxian pulled Zheng Yanli away. Let's go, Shijie, quickly. That's not it! Miss Zheng! Jin Sizhuan yelled again. There was no way they could pretend not to have heard that, so Wei Wuxian turned his head, as did Zheng Yanli. Even Jin Sijin's group had their attention redirected from whatever they had been fussing about. Everyone was curious as to what Jin Sizhuan had been meant by such an outburst. Jin Sizhuan rushed over, seeming to want to catch up with them, but stopped short. Standing far away, he gasped a couple of times. Veins bulged on his forehead. A few moments later, he suddenly roared aloud. That's not it, Miss Zheng. It wasn't my mother. It's not her will. I'm not reluctant. I'm not reluctant at all. He held himself back for a few seconds, then said, "It's me. It was all me. I'm the one who wanted you to come." Ah. Come on. Zheng Yanli was speechless. Wei Wuxian was also speechless. Madame Qin, too, was speechless. Even Jin Sijun was speechless. Having made his declaration, Jin Sijuan's fair face flushed so bright red it seemed ready to pop. He staggered back a few steps before steadying himself with a nearby tree. He glanced up, then froze. Apparently, he'd only just remembered that there were hundreds of people around. Recalling what he'd just said in front of such an audience, he was dumbfounded for a good long while before he suddenly snapped back to reality. With a honking shout, he bolted into the woods. Honk! A honking shout. There was silence in the clearing for a long moment before Madame Jin screamed in outrage. "You bonehead! What are you running away for?" She tugged at Zheng Yanli. "Ali, we'll talk back at the observation deck. I'm gonna go catch him first." Then she mounted her sword in a hurry and flew off with the group of cultivators, chasing Jin Sijuan in the direction he had fled, screaming all the while. Wei Wuxian had never imagined such a development. After witnessing this farce, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What the hell's wrong with him? Shijie, let's go. Zheng Yanli seemed a little dazed and only nodded. Wei Wuxian waved at Lamonji. "I'm off, Lanjan." Lamonji inclined his head and didn't speak, but only stared at Wei Wuxian and Zheng Yanli's retreating backs as they gradually disappeared into the woods. On the other side of the clearing, Jin Guanyao was ultimately unable to stop Jin Sijun and his group. Griping and grumbling, the mob left on their swords. A good half of the crowd that had been so densely packed in the clearing suddenly cleared out. With no spectacle to watch, the ones left behind began to slowly scatter too. Jin Guanyao wiped the sweat from his face and chuckled wryly. "Honestly." Lan Qichen patted his shoulder. "Today's incident was no fault of yours." "Oh, it's Xiao time! It is Xiao time! He is here, he's saying there. Oh, there, Ayao, it's okay, you did nothing wrong. I'm sorry everybody hates you, you're okay." Jin Guanyao heaved a sigh and pinched between his brows. "I'm afraid 2 hours won't be enough for the preparations." "Why not?" Lan Qichen asked. "The truth is, not only did Wei Gongzi take a third of the pre, Daga cleaned out over half of the Yao beasts," Jin Guanyao explained. Oh my gosh. Damn. Lan Qichen laughed at this, as expected of Daga. Lamonji, meanwhile, remained pensive. "The range of the hunting grounds will probably need to be enlarged even more than expected," Jin Guanyao said, sounding troubled. "Let us go take care of that, then," Lan Qichen said. Jin Guanyao was apologetic. "Sorry about this, Arga. You're here to participate in the siege hunt, but I still had to trouble you to help me at the last minute." Lan Qichen grinned. "It's fine. Wanji, we'll be leaving. Or will you give us a hand as well?" Lamonji silently summoned Bishan. "I will help." Oh my gosh, what a group. What a group. Jiggy's party planning committee pain began here. Literally. Jin Guanyao and his preparations, yep. Okay. Once they left on their swords, only a few remained in the forest, still chit-chatting about the recent show. Not long after, someone strode out from amidst the trees and was slightly taken aback at the scene before him. The newcomer was Zheng Cheng. He's like, "Oh, where the fuck is everybody? What the hell just happened? Huh? Oh. While on Mount Baifeng, he'd heard people gossiping about seeing Lamonji and Jin Sijuan's sword glares, how it seemed the two had gotten into a fight. Worried that Zheng Yanli was with Jin Sijuan, Zheng Cheng had come to check things out, but he'd botched the timing and everyone was already gone. Of the scattered few people still around, he found a vaguely familiar face in Sect Leader Yao. Sect Leader Yao, what happened here? Sect Leader Yao gave him a look. Sect Leader Zheng, your esteemed sect, Wei Wuxian, certainly is a character, eh? He said in a meaningful tone. Zheng Cheng furrowed his brow. What do you mean? I dare not say what I mean, Sect Leader Yao laughed. There's no need to take my words to heart, Sect Leader Zheng. Zheng Cheng's face darkened, knowing what was being said was nothing good. I'll have to find Wei Wuxian and sort it out later. He had no intention of continuing to feign civility with someone purposely trying to be mysterious, so he turned and left the woods. Zheng Cheng is like, yeah, Sundere has no time to mess with another mysterious person. As he walked, he faintly heard whispered discussions behind him. Their voices were hushed, as if they were afraid of him overhearing, but his senses were sharp, and he caught every word clearly. One of the family heads said, sounding sour, Lotus Pier is such a show-stealer this year. Almost every fierce corpse and vengeful spirit was summoned to the Zheng clan of Yunmeng's camp. They must have gotten a lot of cultivators interested in joining their clan. What can you do? We haven't got any Wei Wuxians in our clan, said Sect Leader Yao. Having a Wei Wuxian isn't necessarily a good thing. I certainly wouldn't want someone like that in my house, causing trouble for me every day. Wei Wuxian is much too impertinent. Either way, in the future, I'll not attend any night hunts he's participating in. Someone sneered. Huh, interested in the Zheng clan? I don't think so. Let's be blunt. Aren't they solely interested in Wei Wuxian? After all, it was only because of Wei Wuxian that the Zheng clan of Yunmeng's fame shot up during the Sunshot campaign. Zheng Cheng became shrouded in gloom. It was as if something had cast an indelible shadow on his face and heart. Eesh, Zheng Cheng's mid. Zheng Cheng is just mid. People only like him because of Wei Wuxian. Poor guy. Poor little Bubby. Aw, poor little Bubby. He's just mid. He has the whole sect to himself. And nobody cares. Nobody love him. Nobody care him. He always thought that, and now it's been confirmed for him. Oof. Zheng Cheng just found out that I'm Unk. And also chopped. Zheng Cheng can't do a kickflip. Of course he's mid. Ugh. Oh, man. How come Zheng Cheng was never like, why don't you teach me the ghost way? Why won't you teach me your magical flute tricks? Like, don't you think that should be a conversation? How come no one else is like, I want to learn that? Glitch says my cat came in and started tapping at your face. Oh my god, hello little kitty. Empire's Prince says dance, sad boy. Oh my gosh. Look at him go. Kate, you might need to make more characters sexily posing so we can have different boys dance for different donations. Kate says, give me a list. We shall see. Okay. Oh, we're almost at the end. I think we could probably finish it. We could probably finish this book. Should we do it? My throat kind of hurts, though. Oh, I think I'll turn my fan off. I could do it. I could do it. Okay. Immediately following the collapse of the Wen clan of Qishan, Nightless City also seemed to vanish with the break of dawn. What had once been the most flourishing city of the cultivation world was reduced to ruins. Scores of cultivators sought out new hubs and relocated to new cities. Of these, the 4 cities that saw the largest influx were Lanlang, Yunmeng, Gusu, and Qinghe. It was now 2 months later. In Yunmeng, people hurried along a long, rambling street. The various clans and sects' up-and-coming disciples strolled around with their swords at their waists, pontificating to each other on the world's current state of affairs. All were in high spirits. All of a sudden, the people milling about the long street lowered their voices slightly and looked in unison towards the end of the road. A young man in white was slowly walking along. He wore a forehead ribbon and carried a guqin and sword on his back. Did someone say guqin? Don't worry. I mean, carrying this on your back everywhere is crazy. The man's appearance was extremely dashing and refined, yet he seemed to be enveloped in an aura of frost and snow. Before he had even drawn close to the crowds, the cultivators fell silent of their own initiative and met his eyes as a show of respect. Some of the slightly more well-known ones boldly went forward to pay their salutations. Hengguanjun. Lamoji nodded his head slightly, meticulously returning each greeting. That's kind of funny, just like, He did not linger, and the other cultivators backed off voluntarily, not daring to bother him. However, a colorfully dressed young girl approached him with a smile. She brushed past him in a hurry and suddenly threw something to him as she did. Lamonji swiftly caught it and lowered his head to inspect it. It was a flower bud, white as snow, delicate and fresh, with dew still gathered on it. As Lamoji stood silent and motionless, another lithe and graceful figure walked over and tossed a small light blue flower with a wave of her hand. She had meant to aim for his chest, but it missed and hit him on his shoulder instead. Lamoji caught it with his fingertips and turned to look at her. That woman giggled and feigned bashfulness, covering her face as she fled. The third time was a young girl of tender age who wore her hair in double buns. She skipped towards him, holding a bouquet of flowering branches in her arms. They were sprinkled with red buds. She threw the bouquet at his chest, then turned and ran. Ah! Oh my gosh. This happened again and again. Lamoji was expressionless as he stood there on the street, bearing an armful of flowers and flowering branches in a myriad of colors. The cultivators who recognized Hengguanjun wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. They put on solemn looks even as their gaze kept drifting over. On the other hand, the common folk who didn't recognize him were already starting to point at him. As Lamonji pondered this predicament with eyes downcast, he felt something land on his head. He raised his hand. A blooming pink peony had landed right on target, tucking itself into his hair above his ear. That's the flower that he has as his bookmark, right? A smiling voice called to him from the top of a tall building nearby. Lanjan! Hengguanjun! What a coincidence! Lamonji looked up to see an elaborate building decorated with fluttering gauze curtains. A slender man dressed in black reclined against a red lacquered balustrade. One of his arms dangled from the railing, holding an exquisite black earthenware wine jug. Half of the wine jug's red tassel was draped over his arm, while the other half drifted leisurely in the breeze. At the sight of Wei Wuxian, the disciples from the various clans and sects who had initially been watching the show now pulled odd faces. Everyone knew that the Yiling Patriarch and Hengguanjun were not on good terms. Even though the last time we saw them, they seemed like on fine terms. Flowers for Lamonji! Not like he's gonna press it in his scrapbook or anything. Yeah. Right? I remember it was a peony, because I remember thinking, like, isn't the Jin sect thing peonies? Why would it be a peony? But I guess he threw a pink peony at him. Thank you, DKW Morgan. Not like he's gonna press them in a scrapbook or anything. 100%. Not Leo, shut up! Not the wug. Why is that word so funny? The wug. Stop. The wine jug equals wugs. I can't believe everyone caught that. Oh my god. The Pink Peony Club. I wanna take at the Pink Peony Club. Just Wei Wuxian and his wugs. Shut up! Wugs of Emperor Smile. Behold the wug. Me and my wugs. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Half of the wine jug's red tassel was draped over his arm. Yes. Everyone knew that the Yiling Patriarch and Han Guangjun were not on good terms. They bickered often, and even when they fought on the same side during the Sunshot campaign, and it was anyone's guess what would go- wait, sorry. They bickered often, even when they fought on the same side during the Sunshot campaign, and it was anyone's guess what would go down between the two of them this time. Giving up all pretense of politeness, everyone stared at the two men with increasing interest. Contrary to what they expected, Lan Wangji did not leave with a cold flick of his sleeves. He merely said, "It is you." "It is me," Wei Wuxian confirmed. "The only one who would do such a frivolous thing is, of course, me. Wherever did you find the time to visit Yunmeng? If you're not in a hurry, why not come on up for a drink?" Oh, oh, these two. Oh, man. A few young girls surrounded Wei Wuxian. They squeezed together at the balustrade and beamed down at Lan Wangji with coaxing smiles. "That's right, Gongzi, come on up for a drink." Those girls were the ones who had been tossing flowers at Lan Wangji earlier. Oh my goodness, it was all Wei Wuxian. It wasn't hard to guess who'd told them to do so. Lan Wangji lowered his head and turned to leave. Wei Wuxian was not at all surprised to see Lan Wangji's lack of reaction to his teasing. With a click of his tongue, he rolled off the balustrade seat and tilted his head back to drink a mouthful of liquor from the jug. Unexpectedly, a moment later, moderate and unhurried footsteps echoed from the floor below. With steady steps, Lan Wangji ascended the stairs and lifted the curtain to enter the room where Wei Wuxian was idling. Oh my god. The strings of the beaded curtain clinked together, the sound clear as a melody. He set the collection of flowers that he had been pelted with on the small table. "Your flowers." Wei Wuxian leaned over to the table. "You're welcome. They're your flowers, since I gave them to you." "Why?" Lan Wangji asked. "Why not?" Wei Wuxian answered. "Just wanted to see your reaction to this kind of thing." "Frivolous," Lan Wangji said. "You bet," Wei Wuxian agreed. "That's the only reason why I would have dragged you all the way up here. Oh, come on, man. Don't leave. You're already here, so why not have a cup or two before you go?" "Alcohol is prohibited." "I know booze is prohibited at your place, but this isn't the cloud recesses. It's fine to have a cup or two." Look at him! Lounging about with his ladies? His ladies that he uses to go flirt with his man? The girls promptly produced a new wine cup. Once they'd filled it to the brim, they pushed it over towards the flowers. Lan Wangji still didn't look inclined to take a seat, but he didn't seem inclined to leave either. "You rarely make trips down to Yunmeng. Are you really not going to sample the fine local liquor?" Wei Wuxian asked. "Well, though the liquor here is lovely, it still can't compare to Emperor's Smile from Gusu. That's some unparalleled stuff. When I have a chance to visit Gusu again, I'm gonna grab 8 or 10 jugs, stash them away, and guzzle them all in one go. Say, what's the matter with you? There's places all around to sit and you just have to keep standing there. Come on, take a seat. The girls all urged him on. Go on, take a seat. Sit down, won't you? Teeny Bobini, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much, Teeny Bobini. Welcome. Amazing name, too. Lamonji's light eyes frostily examined the charming, beautiful girls before his gaze landed on the shiny, black, red-tasseled flute hung on Wei Wuxian's waist. He lowered his head, seeming to be contemplating his choice of wording. Wei Wuxian quirked an eyebrow at the sight of this, as if he'd already figured out what Lamonji was about to say. Sure enough, Lamonji slowly said, "You should not while away your time with things nefarious." The teasing smiles on the faces of the girls around Wei Wuxian instantly vanished. The gauze curtains fluttered, intermittently blocking out the sunlight. The interior of the room flickered between illumination and darkness. The girls' snow-white faces seemed too pale, as if they were totally devoid of blood. They almost seemed ghostly. Their eyes stared so fixedly at Lamonji that it was chilling. Wei Wuxian lifted a hand to motion for them to stand down and shook his head. Lanjan, the older you get, the less interesting you become. You're so young. It's not like you're 70 or 80. Why do you keep following your Shufu's example, always methodically concerned with lecturing people? Lamonji turned and took a step closer to Wei Wuxian. Wei Ying, it is best if you return to Gusu with me after all. It's been a long time since I heard you say that. The Sunshot campaign is over. I thought you'd long since given up. Did you notice certain signs during the siege hunt on Mount Baifeng? Lamonji asked. What signs? A loss of control. You mean when I almost got into it with Jin Sizhuan? Wei Wuxian scoffed. I think you've got the wrong idea. I've always had the urge to fight him every time I see him. And the things you said afterward? Lamonji added. What things? Wei Wuxian asked. I say so many things every day. I've long since forgotten what I said 2 months ago. Lamonji regarded him like he knew the latter wasn't taking his concerns seriously. He drew in a breath. Wei Ying, he stubbornly continued. The demonic path injures the body, and more so, one's nature. Looking as if he had a headache, Wei Wuxian sighed resignedly. Lanjan, I'm done listening to this. Haven't you said enough? You said it's harmful to my body, but I'm totally fine right now. You also said it's harmful to my nature, but I've never been that deranged, have I? It is still not too late, but if you come to regret it in the future, it will be far... Wei Wuxian's expression changed. Without waiting for him to finish, he sprang to his feet. Lanjan! Behind him, the girl's eyes glinted with red light. Don't move, Wei Wuxian ordered them curtly. At his command, they lowered their heads and stepped back, but their steely glaring did not cease. How do I say this? Wei Wuxian mused to Lamonji. Although I don't think I'll ever regret it, I also don't like it when others idly predict what'll happen to me in the future. After a moment of silence, Lamonji replied, I was out of line. It's fine, Wei Wuxian said, but it seems I really shouldn't have invited you up here. I'm the one who was too presumptuous today. You were not. Poor Lamonji, he just fucking loves him so much. And the fact that even he here apologizes and says he was out of line and says he was presumptuous, like he is really trying to work with Wei Wuxian here, you know? Like, oh, I feel so bad for him. He's actually trying. He's gotten more mature at this point. He's not just yelling and saying like, you know, you're wrong, you have to come with me. He's trying to work with him. And Wei Wuxian is so oblivious, yes. I'm the one who was too presumptuous today. You were not. Wei Wuxian smiled politely. Really? That's good then. He downed the remaining contents of his cup, then waved his hand dismissively. But thank you anyway. I'll take your comments as a sign of your concern and not bother Han Guanjun any further. We'll meet again if fate decrees. When Wei Wuxian returned to Lotus Pier, Zhang Cheng was wiping his sword. He looked up for a moment. Back? Yeah. You look gloomy, Zhang Cheng observed. Don't tell me you ran into Jin Sizhuan. Worse than encountering Jin Sizhuan, Wei Wuxian said. Guess who? Give me a hint. He wants to lock me up? Zhang Cheng frowned. Lamonji, why is he here in Yunmeng? No idea, Wei Wuxian said. He was hanging out on the street, probably here looking for someone. He hasn't gone on about that for a long time, not since the Sunshot campaign, and now he's at it again. He doesn't want to lock you up! He wants to save you! You're the one who called out to him first, though, Jung Chung pointed out. How do you know? Do you even need to ask? Jung Chung scoffed. When have you ever not been the one calling out to him first? You're a strange one. You always part on bad terms, so why do you work tirelessly to annoy him? That's crazy. That's... Wei Wuxian thought for a moment. Because I have nothing better to do? Jung Chung rolled his eyes, clearly thinking, so you know it too. He shifted his attention back to his sword. How many times a day do you need to wipe that thing down? Wei Wuxian asked. Thrice, Jung Chung answered. Where's your sword? How long has it been since you last polished it? Wei Wuxian grabbed a pear and took a bite. In my room somewhere. Once a month is good enough. From now on, don't leave your sword behind during major events like hunts or symposiums, Jung Chung instructed. Carry it with you, or you'll just keep giving people opportunities to ridicule you for your lack of etiquette. I hate it when people force me to do things. You know that, Wei Wuxian said. The more you force me, the more I don't want to do it. I'm not taking my sword with me, and what can anyone do about it? Jung Chung shot him a glare. And I have no desire to spar with a bunch of people I don't know, Wei Wuxian continued. My sword must see blood whenever it leaves its sheath. Unless they plan to give me a few people to kill, they can get off my back. I might as well not take it with me, so I don't have to deal with that. Get me some peace and quiet. Kate! Thank you for being a member for 16 months! Hey, I found this membership milestone in my pocket. Case file art whip in your DMs for after the stream. Attempted some moody lighting. Also warning feet. Kate, yes! Yes! I'm very excited to see that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Kate. Thrice married to a salted fish. Didn't you used to love showing off your sword play in front of people? Jung Chung asked. I was a kid, Wei Wuxian said. Who can stay a kid forever? Jung Chung snorted a laugh. If you won't carry a sword, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But stop messing with Jin Sijuan. He's Jin Guanshan's only son, after all, and he'll be the head of the Jin clan of Lanlang in the future. If you pick fights with him, what would you have me do, as the head of the family? Fight him with you, or punish you? Isn't there another son kicking around the place now? Jin Guanyao is so much easier on the eyes than him, Wei Wuxian commented. Oh my god! Oh my god! He's so easy on the eyes! He's so easy on the eyes! I would have to agree. He is so easy on the eyes, isn't he? Oh, toe shucks. Oh, thank you. Oh, not the stairs. Jin Guanyao is easier on the eyes. But hideous on the inside. No, he's beautiful. After Jung Chung was done polishing his sword, he scrutinized it closely for a moment before finally putting Sandu back into its sheath. What good is it, being easier on the eyes? No matter how agreeable or quick-witted he is, he'll never be more than a family retainer who welcomes and sees off guests. He'll get no further than that in his lifetime, and he can't compare to Jin Sijuan. Jeez. Judging by his tone, he actually seemed to hold Jin Sijuan in high esteem. Jung Chung, answer me honestly, Wei Wuxian began. What are you trying to say? Last time you made a special point of bringing Shijie along. Don't tell me you really want Shijie too. It's not entirely out of the question. Not entirely out of the question, Wei Wuxian repeated. Did you forget what he did back in Langyi? And you're telling me it's not entirely out of the question? He probably regrets it now. Who cares if he regrets it, Wei Wuxian said. Must we forgive him just because he realizes the error of his ways? Look at how his dad behaves. Who knows if he'll turn out just the same in the future, traveling far and wide to hunt for women and screw around with. Shijie and him, can you stand it? He wouldn't dare, Jung Chung stated grimly. After a pause, he glanced at Wei Wuxian. But it's not up to you to forgive him or not. JJ likes him. What more can we do? Wei Wuxian was promptly rendered speechless. After a moment, he squeezed out a reply. Out of all the people out there to like, why him? He chucked the pear. Where's Shijie? No idea, Jung Chung answered. Probably in one of her usual spots. If not the kitchen, then her chambers, or else the ancestral hall. Where else can she go? Wei Wuxian left the sword hall and headed to the kitchen first. Half a pot of steaming soup was simmering on the fire, but she wasn't there. He went to Zhang Yanli's chambers next, and she wasn't there either. Finally, he went to the ancestral hall, and sure enough, there she was. Zhang Yanli sat on her heels in the ancestral hall, whispering as she wiped down her parents' memorial tablets. Wei Wuxian poked his head in. Shijie, are you chatting with Zhang Shushu and Madame Yu again? Neither of you visit, so I have to, Zhang Yanli answered softly. Wei Wuxian entered, sat down beside her, and wiped the tablets together with her. Zhang Yanli glanced at him. Xian, why are you looking at me like that? Is there something you want to tell me? Wei Wuxian only smiled. Nothing. I'm just here to roll around, he said, and then really did so. Xian, how old are you? Zhang Yanli teased. 3, Wei Wuxian said as he continued to roll around. Seeing that he'd managed to make Zhang Yanli laugh, he sat up. He contemplated for a moment, then went ahead with what he'd wanted to talk about. Shijie, there's something I'd like to ask you. Go ahead. Why would a person like another person? Wei Wuxian asked. I'm talking about that kind of like. Slightly taken aback, Zhang Yanli wondered. Why are you asking me this? Have you found someone you like? What kind of girl is she? No, I'm never gonna like anyone. Or at least, I don't want to like anyone that much, Wei Wuxian replied. Isn't that the same as putting reins around my own neck? 3 years old is a bit of an overestimation, Zhang Yanli teased. 1 year old is more like it. No, I'm already 3, Wei Wuxian insisted, and 3-year-old Xian is hungry. What to do? Zhang Yanli chuckled. Yes, well, there's soup in the kitchen. Go have some. But I wonder if Xian can reach the stove. If I can't, then Shijie just has to pick me up and I'll be able to reach it. Wei Wuxian was in the midst of spouting nonsense when Zhang Cheng strode into the ancestral hall. On hearing Wei Wuxian, he spat, shooting your mouth off again, you sect leader. Your sect leader filled a bowl for you and put it outside. Kneel to me now, say your thanks, and then get out here to have your soup. Wei Wuxian skipped out for a look, then whirled back inside. What is the meaning of this, Zhang Cheng? Where are the pork ribs? I ate them all, Zhang Cheng said. Only lotus roots left. Eat the soup or don't, as you please. Wow, I love a real siblings moment. Wei Wuxian jabbed his elbow into Zhang Cheng's stomach. Spit him out! Sure, I'll spit him out, and then you better eat him all when I do. Hearing them start again, Zhang Yanli hurriedly intervened. All right, how old are you both to be fighting over some pork ribs? I'll just make another pot. Wei Wuxian loved Zhang Yanli's lotus root and pork rib soup more than anything else, not just because it was genuinely delicious, but because he always remembered the first time he'd eaten it. It had been not long after Zhang Fengmian brought Wei Wuxian back from Yiling. The moment he entered the gates, he saw a haughty little young master running all over the drilling grounds with a few puppies on leashes. Wei Wuxian immediately covered his face with both hands, screamed, and then started bawling his eyes out. He clung to Zhang Fengmian the entire day, refusing to come down from his arms no matter what. The next day, the puppies that Zhang Cheng had been raising were given away. This is the worst thing ever. I can't believe they made Zhang Cheng give away his puppies. His puppies! The one thing that could unconditionally love Zhang Cheng, other than Yanli. The things that he could order around, you know? It's perfect. Zhang Cheng truly deserves a dog. A dog would be perfect for Zhang Cheng. And he had to give away his little puppies that he named Little Princess and like, oh. That is so awful. Poor baby. The incident infuriated Zhang Cheng, who cried rivers worth of tears. And he won't stop crying? Even when Zhang Fengmian coaxed and comforted him with sweet, gentle words, entreating him to play nice and be friends, Zhang Cheng refused to speak to Wei Wuxian. I would too, honestly. Several days later, seeing that Zhang Cheng's temper had cooled a bit, Zhang Fengmian decided to strike while the iron was hot. He moved Wei Wuxian into Zhang Cheng's room in hopes that sharing a space would improve their relationship. Though he felt awkward, Zhang Cheng was about to agree to this arrangement. Unfortunately, on hearing Zhang Cheng consent, Zhang Fengmian was so delighted that he picked Wei Wuxian up and let him sit on his arm. Zhang Cheng, seeing this play out, was completely dumbstruck. Madame Yu simply let out a grim laugh at the sight and left with a fling of her sleeve. Since the couple had their own respective matters to urgently attend to, they left in a hurry and had no time to get into an argument over the matter. That's crazy. Zhang Cheng was like, yeah, okay, you can stay in my room. And then saw his dad pick up Wei Wuxian, which I'm sure he never does for him. And that was just like, that was the end of it all. And it even ruined his relationship with Madame Yu even more too. Like, fuck. That night, Zhang Cheng locked Wei Wuxian out of the room and refused to let him enter. Wei Wuxian banged on the door. Shidi, let me in. Please, I want to sleep. With his back against the door inside, Zhang Cheng yelled, Who's your Shidi? Give me back Fei Fei, Mo Li, and Xiao Ai. Fei Fei, Mo Li, and Xiao Ai were the puppies that he'd used to own. Wei Wuxian knew Zhang Fengmian had sent them away because of him. He quietly replied, I'm sorry, but I'm really very scared of them. Zhang Cheng could count the number of times Zhang Fengmian had ever picked him up on the fingers of one hand. Each time he did it, it was enough to make Zhang Cheng happy for months on end. The anger and resentment simmered within him, with no outlet for release. The only thought in his mind was, why? It's so sad that there's no one that I really ship Zhang Cheng with, or that there's no one that he really has any sort of connection with deeply, you know? Like, if he could have a lover that's just so affectionate with him, like, oh, God. Oh, man. And then, in the room that used to be his and his alone, he found a set of bedding that did not belong to him. His indignation and resentment got the better of him, and he stormed over to pick up Wei Wuxian's mat and blanket in his arms. Wei Wuxian had been helplessly waiting by the door for a long time when it suddenly was flung open. Before he could express his delight, he was almost knocked over by the pile of bedding that was flung outside. The wooden door slammed shut once again. Go sleep somewhere else. This is my room. Are you going to steal my room too? You steal my dogs and my dad, and now my room. Wei Wuxian didn't understand what Zhang Cheng was angry about. Stupefied, he said, I'm not. It was Zhang Shushu who told me to stay with you. Zhang Cheng's eyes reddened as soon as he heard Wei Wuxian mention his father. It was like he was flaunting it on purpose. Go away! Show your face again and I'll get a pack of dogs to bite you! Wei Wuxian stood there at the door and felt a rush of fear when he heard Zhang Cheng say he was going to set dogs on him. Wringing his hands, he hurriedly said, I'll go! Don't call the dogs! Dragging his mat and blanket, which had been thrown outside, he dashed down the long veranda. He didn't dare horse around so soon after arriving at Lotus Pier and would obediently stay put wherever Zhang Fengmian decided to settle him every day. He didn't know his way around any of the rooms and was afraid to knock on any doors for fear of interrupting someone's dreams. After thinking for a moment, he walked over to a sheltered corner of the wooden veranda and spread out his mat to lie down. But the longer he laid there, the longer Zhang Cheng's I'll get a pack of dogs to bite you echoed in his mind. Wei Wuxian grew increasingly frightened the more he thought about it, tossing and turning under the blanket. Even the slightest rustle of leaves made him panic, certain that there was a pack of dogs silently surrounding him. After struggling for a while, he couldn't stay there any longer. He leapt to his feet, rolled up his mat, and refolded his blanket, and fled from Lotus Pier. He ran with the night wind for quite a while, gasping and panting. He saw a tree and climbed it without hesitation, clinging to the trunk with both arms and legs. Only when he felt he was sufficiently high up did he manage to calm down a little. He didn't know how long he clung to that tree. Eventually, Wei Wuxian heard someone softly calling his name from afar. The voice got closer and closer. Not long later, a young girl in white with a lantern in hand appeared beneath the tree. Wei Wuxian recognized her as Zhang Cheng's elder sister. He kept silent, hoping he wouldn't be discovered, but Zheng Yanli still called out to him. Is that A Ying? What are you doing all the way up there? Wei Wuxian stayed silent. Zheng Yanli lifted the lantern. I see you. You dropped your shoe under the tree. Wei Wuxian peeked down at his own left foot and exclaimed in shock, My shoe! Come on down, Zheng Yanli coaxed. Let's go back, I'm not coming down. There are dogs. Ah Cheng was fibbing. There are no dogs, Zheng Yanli assured him. There's nowhere to sit up there. Your hands will start to ache soon and you'll fall. No matter how she coaxed him, Wei Wuxian clung to the tree and refused to come down. Zheng Yanli was afraid he would fall, so she set the lantern under the tree and stood under it with both hands outstretched to catch him, not daring to leave. They remained at this impasse for an incense time, but finally Wei Wuxian's hands grew sore, and he slipped from the tree trunk and plummeted. Zheng Yanli hurried to catch him, but he still hit the ground with a thud. He tumbled a few times, then hugged his leg and wailed, "My leg is broken!" Zheng Yanli comforted him. There, it's not broken. Shouldn't it be sprained either. Does it hurt? It's alright. Don't move. I'll carry you back on my back. Still thinking about the dogs, Wei Wuxian whimpered. The dogs! Are they here? No. If they come, I'll chase them away for you. Zheng Yanli reassured him again, and then collected Wei Wuxian's shoe from under the tree. Why did your shoe fall off? Do they not fit? Wei Wuxian held back his tears of pain and hurriedly shook his head. No, they fit. In truth, they didn't. They were a few sizes too big, but they were the first pair of shoes Zheng Fengmian had bought him, and Wei Wuxian was too embarrassed to make him go to the trouble of buying another pair, so he didn't mention that they were too big. Oh, this is so sad. Zheng Yanli helped him put on his shoes, then pressed down on the deflated tips. Well now, they are a little too big. I'll alter them for you when we get back. This made Wei Wuxian uneasy to hear. Orion's belt, thank you for your donation. I always feel bad for Zheng Yanli. The Zheng parents sucked, so then she had to be the parent from when she was a kid. Right? Absolutely. I know. She was like the best parent. He kept feeling like he'd done something wrong again. The most fearful thing about living under someone else's roof was imposing on and inconveniencing one's hosts. Zheng Yanli hoisted him onto her back and hobbled her way home. Ah Ying, no matter what Ah Cheng said to you earlier, don't hold it against him. He has a bad temper, and he's usually playing all by himself at home. He loved those little puppies, so it broke his heart when Daddy sent them away. He's actually happy there's now someone here to keep him company. You didn't come back after you ran off. And he was worried something had happened to you. So he rushed out to my room to shake me awake. That's why I knew to come out looking for you. The fact that Zheng Zheng, like, did want a little brother and actually was happy to have Wei Wuxian, and then it being so twisted because of just, like, his dad not loving him enough is so sad. Like, oh. At the very least, you know, he's excited to have Wei Wuxian, but it's wrapped up in so much hurt, too. Zheng Yanli was only 2 or 3 years older than him at the time, making her about 12 or 13. She was clearly still a child herself, but she spoke as naturally as a little grown-up as she continued her efforts to comfort Wei Wuxian. She was petite, slim, and delicate, and not very strong, causing her to occasionally stumble and have to stop rearranging her grip on Wei Wuxian's legs to keep from sliding down as she carried him along. But Wei Wuxian felt incomparably safe as he laid on her back, even more so than when he sat on Zheng Fengmian's arm. That means that Yanli is definitely, like, giving that comfort to Zheng Cheng too, you know? All of a sudden, the sound of sobbing wafted to their ears, sailing on the night breeze. Zheng Yanli jolted with fright. What's that sound? Did you hear that? Wei Wuxian pointed. I hear it. It came from that pit. The two headed over to the pit and very cautiously craned their necks to look inside. A small figure was laying prone at the bottom. When he looked up, 2 streaks of tears stood out starkly on his otherwise mud-covered face. JJ! He sobbed. Zheng Yanli breathed a sigh of relief. Ah Cheng, didn't I tell you to call everyone so we would search together? Zheng Cheng merely shook his head. He had waited for a while after Zheng Yanli left, but couldn't sit still and chased after her. But he hurried too carelessly, and he'd forgotten to bring along a lantern. Subsequently, he tripped midway through the journey and fell into a pit, scraping his head in the process. Zheng Yanli pulled her younger brother out of the pit, then fished out her handkerchief and pressed it to his incessantly bleeding forehead. Zheng Cheng's expression was dispirited as he sneaked a peek at Wei Wuxian with his dark-colored eyes. Is there something you haven't said yet to Wei Ying? Zheng Yanli prompted. With the handkerchief pressed to his forehead, Zheng Cheng muttered, I'm sorry. Help Ah Ying take his mat and blanket back inside later, all right? Zheng Yanli prompted further. Zheng Cheng sniffled. I already brought them back in. my god. It's so sad. Both of them had injured their legs and couldn't walk, and they were still a good distance away from Lotus Pier. With no other options, Zheng Yanli had to carry one on her back and the other in her arms. Both Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng wrapped their arms around her neck. After only a few steps, she was so tired she was panting hard. What am I to do with you two? With tears still in their eyes, they pitifully hugged her neck even tighter. In the end, she carried both her little brothers back to Lotus Pier, one step at a time. She gently woke up the physician to request that he bandage and treat Wei Wuxian and Zheng Cheng's injuries, then sent him back after, giving him profuse apologies and thanks. As he looked at Wei Wuxian's leg, Zheng Cheng seemed nervous. If the other sect disciples or servants were to find out about this matter, and if it made its way to Zheng Fenmian's ears, if Zheng Fenmian learned that Zheng Cheng had thrown out Wei Wuxian's mat and even made him hurt his leg, he'd definitely dislike Zheng Cheng even more. As a child, he's worrying about his dad not liking him more. Oh my god. That was also why he hadn't dared tell anyone else earlier, but chased after them himself. Seeing how worried Zheng Cheng looked, Wei Wuxian took the initiative to reassure him. Don't worry, I won't tell Zheng Shushu. This all happened because I had the sudden urge to go tree climbing at night. That's how I got hurt. Zheng Cheng breathed a sigh of relief at this. You don't have to worry either, he vowed. I'll help you chase away any dog we see from now on. Oh my god! Oh my god! They were supposed to be the twin heroes! Seeing them finally clear the air between them, Zheng Yanli happily said, "That's the way it should be." After half a night of torment, both of them were hungry, so Zheng Yanli went to the kitchen and bustled around on tiptoe to warm a bowl of lotus root pork rib soup for each of them. The aroma lingered in Wei Wuxian's heart, never dissipating even to this day. Now he squatted in the courtyard and set the empty bowl on the ground. He gazed at the starry night sky for a while and smiled. His chance encounter with Lan Wangji on the streets of Yunmeng today had reminded him of many things that had happened back when he studied at the cloud recesses. He'd called out to Lan Wangji on a whim, initially thinking of leading the conversation in that direction, but Lan Wangji had reminded him that nothing was the same as it had been back then. But he only needed to return to Lotus Pier, to the Zheng siblings, to have the illusion that nothing had changed at all. Wei Wuxian suddenly felt the urge to find the tree he'd climbed back then. He stood up and made his way out of Lotus Pier's grounds. The sect disciples he came across along the way bowed and nodded their heads at him respectfully. They were all unfamiliar faces. The ones he was familiar with, the Shidi, who were like a bunch of monkeys refusing to walk properly, and the servants who would make funny faces and didn't bow properly, were all long gone. Past the drilling grounds and beyond Lotus Pier's main gate was a wide and spacious dock. Regardless of time of day, there were always vendors selling food here. A pot sizzled with oil, and aromas filled the air. Wei Wuxian couldn't help but walk over and comment with a smile. Plenty of stuff today, huh? The vendor, too, said with a smile, Wei Gongzi, want some? Consider it a gift from me. No need to put it on the tab. Sure, I'll take it, Wei Wuxian accepted, but put it on my tab, as usual. There was a person squatting beside the vendor, filthy from head to toe. Before Wei Wuxian approached, she was hugging her knees and shivering as though cold and exhausted. When she heard Wei Wuxian speak, however, her head abruptly shot up. Wei Wuxian's eyes widened. It's you? The story continues in Grandmaster of Demonical Division Volume 4! Oh my god, we finished it! That's crazy! Oh my god! Oh shit! What a cliffhanger! That's crazy. Oh my gosh. What the hell's gonna happen next? Is book 5 all extras? Wow, I finished it right at 7. That's crazy. Thanks for pointing that out, Esper Lady. Book 5 is like 50% extras. Okay. Damn! Oh my god. Like, what still has to happen? Like, ugh. we still need to hear all the stuff of, like, the past with Wei Wuxian, like, becoming the Yiling Patriarch, and then, oh god. And then, oh god. And Jinling's birth, and oh god. And then, like, all that, the, like, current timeline, like, confession and stuff, and, like, oh, oh fuck. Oh, man. It's like, Ayuan! Damn. Oh, I love that flashback, though, of him with Zheng Cheng and everyone. I hate that they had to give away his puppies. But the fact that Zheng Cheng, who was so upset about losing his puppies, then turned to Wei Wuxian and said to him, I will chase away any dog we see from now on. Like, he was like, I'm like your most devoted brother now, okay? He could have just held a grudge, but he didn't. Ugh. He really wanted a brother. It's so sad. Ugh. Okay, wait. Let's look at the art Kate sent me. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so this is from Case File. This is our baddie. Shay Ching Chung. Nipples perk. And Hayu kissing his foot. Oh my gosh. I love it, Kate. This is fantastic. There is a foot scene in the book, but it's very tasteful and, like, lovely, kind of. He never got a dog and never told anyone Wei Wuxian was scared of dogs. Yeah! Until afterwards, all the horrible stuff happened, and then enter a dog. Oh, Kate just said incense burner. Glitch says, whenever I think of Wei Wuxian, I always think of my old ocarina that I have locked away somewhere. I don't quite know why. Ooh, the wistful tones of an ocarina of the past. Apple dash found your shoe, yay! Kate says, the way it was described to me before I read it did not make it sound tasteful. I feel like it was a very tasteful scene. It was a very loving, tasteful scene. Spazzy says, and then he gets their nephew a dog. Yes. Yes. Ugh, it's so upsetting. I just desperately need adult Zheng Cheng to get a puppy post-canon. Yes, Stitch and I, we role-played this whole, like, where Zheng Cheng has a puppy, and that's how he meets a girl. Ugh, it was good. Him and his little puppy. He definitely needs a puppy. Oh yeah, Jing Guan Yao gave him the dog. You're right. Oh my god, even after all that, he still didn't ever get a dog. Oh, he just needs a little puppy. Damn. I can't believe that Zheng Cheng never got a dog. He stayed true. He stayed true to his line. He'd chase away all dogs. Jing Guan Yao give Jinling a dog to spite Zheng Cheng. Oh fuck. He does have a dream wife in the chibi shorts. Yeah. Yeah. Goodness me. Alright guys, well tomorrow at 7 I will see the members for the members only game night. Any membership tier can join. Be sure to come at 7. We hang out and talk and chat for a bit, and then we will jump into a game. And it'll be so much fun. Apple Dash says, my shoe is behind the shelf. I'm glad that you found your shoe. Aw, I would love if Wei Wuxian could have some exposure therapy to a dog and not be scared of dogs anymore. You can have a very well-behaved little dog. Okay, thank you guys for coming to hang out with me and reading today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Bye.